And for once, welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter. Down by 19 in this game. Bill, Kyrie makes his season debut. How did he look to you in his first game back?
He was awesome. He really was, Akeem. And first quarter, he looked a little discombobulated, a little off balance, didn't score, and it felt like it was going to be a long night. He shook off the rust, and you mentioned this, had, 10 of his 22 in that fourth quarter. It was everything that the Nets wanted. It was that impact. He was a catalyst for them late in the game. Obviously, he added a lot more firepower. And by the end of the game, as he got into rhythm, he looked like the Kyrie Irving that is the good version, the tempting version, the talented version that allows the Nets and other teams before him to put up with some of the off-court shenanigans.
How did you think he meshed once again with his teammates, with KD, with James Harden? Of course, KD has a big game in this one, 39 points.
Yeah, to my eye, it looked actually like early on, that first quarter, even that first half, Kyrie was trying really hard to move the ball, wasn't looking to take a shot. Not hesitant in the sense, it came to my eye, that he didn't look comfortable offensively. It just looked like he was trying really hard to defer and be a good teammate. I mean, he got a couple late buckets at the end of that first half. I mean, he almost went into that half, I think 2 or 4 points, but whatever it was. And then he kind of got comfortable. He started to work his way into the offense. I thought on every level, he sort of checked off every box. He looked like a team player. He didn't try to impose himself too soon. He waited till he got comfortable in the offense in the second half. And once that happened, he hit really important buckets down the stretch. It was if you were to draw up the exact return for Kyrie Irving, what you wanted to just reintegrate him into the team in the locker room and on the floor, this is what it looks like.
I know they're at the top of the Eastern Conference, a game and a half behind Chicago after this victory, but this kind of win, it snaps a 3-game losing streak. Is this the kind of win that sort of kickstarts the season now that you welcome Kyrie back into the mix?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shakes off the cobwebs, not just for Kyrie on the floor, but just look, anytime you add a superstar, and that's what he is, but especially someone like Kyrie Irving, it's a new dynamic, and that adjustment can be really difficult no matter who it is. Even at the beginning of the season, when you have training camp, it's hard. This is obviously, we're here in January. It is the perfect way to kickstart the restart for the Nets. And you're right, the Pacers may not be the most formidable team on earth, but they were up almost 20 points over the course of that game. And the Nets' ability to fight back, they played great defense. What Kyrie did, it is a really important step, I think, for the Nets to become the version they're going to be with Kyrie Irving, and to do that in a really positive light, just right off the bat.
Look, when he got interviewed after the game on the court, of course, he was very positive and said it was just a matter of time until they started to gel once again. A veteran-laden team, really, when you look at this Brooklyn squad. The thing is here, you got this situation, right, with Kyrie. Brooklyn scheduled to play its next 2 games at home, followed by 2 road games starting Monday in Portland. I'm curious if you think this situation is sustainable with Kyrie only playing in road games and you lose that continuity night in and night out.
I mean, Akeem, I'm an interesting person to ask on this because in my conversations with folks around the NBA and just my coverage of the NBA, going back 10 years, I have been a doubter of Kyrie Irving as it relates to his long-term positive impact on teams. Now, I think it's an open question. I think it's a question mark. But I think even if he played at home, Akeem, I wouldn't be overwhelmingly convinced suddenly Kyrie is going to be the answer in the postseason because he played a great game, and he did, against I don't want to say hapless, but certainly a not overwhelmingly formidable Pacers team. So there's a long ways to go between here and there. And as you noted, it's not a normal situation. He's not playing every game. He's not playing home games in Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't know what this means for Kyrie going forward. I don't think anybody does, and how this team adapts to his unavailability at home. And whether Kyrie's the best version of himself away from the court or he's not, I think will be really important. And we're not going to know that, and that team's not going to know that for several months.
Well, the end result here, what they're looking for, the end game, is to win an NBA championship. That's why they were brought together. They remain the favorites to win the NBA title. And really says a lot about this team, Bill. When they were down by 19 in the third quarter, they could have packed it in. They did not. They played great defensively down the stretch. And one of the things they overcome in this game is they overcome a barrage by the Brooklyn native Lance Stephenson. Third stint with the Pacers, scored 20 straight points for the Pacers in the first quarter, became the first player in NBA history to score 20 points off the bench in the first quarter. What's your reaction to Lance Stephenson in this game?
I mean, my reaction was I thought you and I were scheduled to have this conversation to talk about the Kyrie Irving return game, but for a minute there it looked like it was going to be the Lance Stephenson return game. I mean, this this is the silver lining. This is one of the beautiful offshoots of what is a very bizarre year, and all the bodies that have had an opportunity, all the random players that get to play, because you have to throw warm bodies out there with so many players obviously not able to play with injuries and going into the health and safety protocols with COVID. And I love it. I always like Lance Stephenson's game. He obviously was the best version of himself in Indianapolis, from his play back when the Pacers were contenders to blowing in LeBron's ear back in the day. Again, this one's probably not sustainable. I'll go out on a limb and say Lance Stephenson's excellence, his Michael Jordan turn, probably not sustainable, but it was really fun to watch.
And how about down the stretch there? Good on you as well, because you had Pacers plus 8.5, and they were down by 10 with about 20 seconds to play. They get a late bucket for you to be able to cover that.
Yeah, James Harden dribbles out to the shot clock and then a garbage time bucket for the beautiful, totally unjust cover. I will take it. All hail Harden and his humility at the end of the game. That was definitely a sweat.
You and Larry Hartstein telling everyone earlier on HQ to take the Pacers and the points. Also, Larry Hartstein telling you to take the over of 19.5 on Kyrie. He goes for 22, 10 of them in the fourth quarter as he helps Brooklyn win it and snap a 3-game slide. They're happy to have Kyrie back. Bill Reiter breaking down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Bill, thank you. And again, here's a look at the Nets' upcoming road schedule. So they play 2 home games. Those are their next 2 games. 2 games at home, followed by 2 road games at Portland and at Chicago. Certainly a big game at Chicago. Right now, currently speaking, the Nets trail the Bulls by 1.5 games in the Eastern Conference.